Hello, hello. How are you today? I hope you're having a great evening and a great week. My name is Rachel from ADMI, and I'm glad to be your moderator for today's session. It's going to be an exciting session, an insightful one, and it's all about photography and multimedia. The topic for today is exploring careers and growth in photography and multimedia. We are joined by a professional in the field, so be sure to enjoy the session. Before we begin, allow me to introduce ADMI. Africa Digital Media Institute, ADMI, is a creative media and technology training institute, and we work to give Africa's creatives the training, the mentorship, and the platform they need to turn their passion into a profitable profession. We offer a variety of practical courses ranging from 2D animation, film production, we have photography, we have digital marketing, we have music production, we have sound engineering, we have multimedia certificates, among others. Before we begin the session, before I bring in our guest speaker, I'll give you a few housekeeping items. So please make sure your microphone is muted throughout the session. Also, make sure to utilize the chat function. If you have any question, any comment, please be free and drop your chats or your concerns on the chat section. I'll make sure that I address all of them before we finish the session. Okay. Before I introduce our guest speaker, please allow me to go through his bio so that you can get a glimpse of who he is and what he has done before. So leading us through this enlightening session is a distinguished professional, Mr. Isaac Kiri, who has been in the digital space for quite some time now, for a very long time. So he is a certified coach, consultant, and communicator in the media theory and practical courses, majoring in photography and audiovisual production, crafted in many years of experience, curated for corporate, academic, and one-on-one lectures. Isaac's mission being to educate, elevate, and empower human minds in the experience of their media careers, be it print, broadcast, and online markets. He engages as a coach in photography, among other specializations at ADMI, helping refine, scale, and propel students to match the industry standards. So allow me to introduce Mr. Isaac. Isaac, you're welcome to the stage. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Rachel, for granting me this opportunity and all who are tuned in with us today. As Rachel said, my name is Kiri Isaac Kamau. I am a coach, consultant, and communicator in matters media, arts, or media studies. In media studies, we talk about multimedia, where we have elements of text, images, video productions, audio productions, photography, and the list is quite big. My experience is vast, over 9 years plus, and I've been able to dive into each and every media market. By media market, basically we mean print, broadcast, where we have radio, TV, film, and online or digital media, as we call it today. Those are the main media markets I've been working through, and I've been working there as not only a coach, but a consultant and also a communicator in this matter. My mission basically is centered around media education, because it is in this platform that the cycle of media industry depends on, apart from other factors. and I'm really passionate about the education area in media matters so that anyone who practices media can practice it with a well-informed mind that will be able to push them in their careers or in the expansive media industry. So that said, I would also like to welcome you to today's series, Lens and Pixels, where we'll be exploring careers and growth in photography and multimedia. Now, photography and multimedia in this case is one of the elements in terms of courses that ADMI offers, and I happen to be a team lead in that particular department. By team lead, meaning a departmental head, whereby we get to work with my fellow colleagues to help our students or our clients, be it corporate or individuals, to be able to scale this particular field and enhance their careers in photography and multimedia sectors. So in our series today, or rather discussion, I'm going to paint a picture that is very simple and that will give you an understanding of what really growth is all about in the multimedia area, as well as the careers, because the fundamental of media education is not just to get in information, it's so that that information can be used in the media market or media industry. So I'm going to paint a picture of what that is so that you have a clear understanding about it. And I'm going to start with laying the foundation of what media is all about and giving you an understanding of this landscape so that you can have an idea of what are those parameters or those areas that you need to check out for in the media industry. Secondly, I'm going now to scale it down into the aspects of photography and multimedia as well, touching on the expansive careers as well as the courses that you can take. And in this case, I'm going to tie it into I'm going to tie it into the global aspects, because for me, what I really desire and what I really look forward to is a person who is studying media can get the opportunity to practice media anywhere in the world. So you're not just studying media to lock yourself maybe in Kenya or in Nairobi. You need to have the opportunity to do the same in any country you get into. And I'm going to show you that also. And afterwards, I shall leave space for questions or interactions so that guys can be able to also query the areas that they really need a little bit more of clarification and so forth. And apart from that, you have an opportunity also to come in to ADMI on the 31st, that is the day after tomorrow, because we'll be having an open day. You can be able to interact with me one-on-one and have, an expansive time with me to share what you really like to know. And that said, it's important we start. Now, I'm going also to share a little bit of a PowerPoint presentation, in this case, if it is necessary. But then, first of all, in the lens and pixel area, the reason why we have this particular topic or this particular theme is to help you see that in the media industry, there is the lens, or there is the aspect of using something as an object or as a reflection or as an equipment to let you see through things. Remember, in photography, a lens is one of the main equipments that we use to be able to project light and to be able to bring in light so that we can capture an image. And in this case, if you are a person who is interested in the media industry, it's very important for you to be able to have an outlook of how the media industry is from the lens of a media educator, and that is me. Pixels, it's all a matter of resolution, quality, the frequency or the quality of information you get. and the education you get and how you apply it is very important in terms of enhancing your career, enhancing your growth, and so forth. And that is the other element that I'm bringing. That's why that topic or that theme, lens and pixels, is important. Now, shifting forward, the first thing that I shall start talking about is introducing you to the media market. So for those who might be writing down, or for those who like writing for this case, the first thing that we shall be looking at is the media market. I'll be giving you a landscape idea of what forms the media industry or what forms the media market, so that you have an idea of where you need to start. So the media market or the media industry is predominantly built in three main markets. And I'm going to list these three main markets with sub-markets within them, because there are three, but they have sub-markets, and I'm going to mention them so that you do understand. Apart from that, I'm going to list them in an order. And what I mean by order, I mean order of invention of how they started. And therefore, number one is the print media markets. Print media market. And in print media market, we have publishing. That's why we have a lot of graphics. We also have photography in there. We have writing, or what you call journalism, and so forth. We have books, authoring, and a lot of details in terms of newspapers and magazines. That is print media market. Print was predominantly one of the most popular and modern forms of media market in over 300, 500, even 1,000 years back. And in print media, basically the most important thing was newspapers, books. That's how we got the Bible. That's how we got all these newspaper aspects, the writing aspects, the printing press, which created our first form of mass communication. Then from print media, we move on to the second media market, which is broadcast media market. Now, in the broadcast industry or broadcast media market, we have radio, then we have TV, and then we have film. Now, film has grown to expand beyond just the aspects of broadcast, but generally, if you look at the history of film, first and foremost, it was actually built on aspects of broadcast media. And in this case, when human nature desires to be entertained and so forth, broadcast media was not sufficient. And therefore, an element of telling stories and so forth was introduced in terms of film. But generally, in the broadcast media, we have radio, we have TV, and we have film. Now, in radio, that's where we have radio host, radio production, TV production, TV host, TV news presenting, and so forth. We have a lot of things that happen in there. And in film, of course, you have film production and so forth. And all those aspects are also a package offered here at ADMI. The last market is what we call the online media market. In other terms, we can call it the internet markets. Now, the online media market is a place where we have social media. And I know a lot of us have an idea of what social media is. What you're talking about here, we're talking about Instagram, X or Twitter. We are talking about Facebook. We're talking about Snapchat, Pinterest, and so forth and so forth. So the online media market is actually one now of the last ones in terms of the media aspect, because we have the print, which was the first. Then we have broadcast, where we have radio, TV, and so forth. Then we have online media, and in this case, social media coming in. And with social media aspects, we got into what I like calling the integrated market. Social media, or rather online media, created a space for an integration of all media markets in one space. What do I mean by that? You find that print media, radio, TV, and film can now come in the space of online media. You can be able to see movies, for example, on YouTube. You can be able to see news, YouTube. You can be able to see radio programs on YouTube. You can be able to download and see and view newspapers, magazines, books on online media via the internet. That is what we call the online media market. So those are the three areas. Now, in these three media markets, one of the fundamentals of this media market is what we call photography and multimedia. Photography is very important because it is from the baseline of photography that videography and, in this case, film came into being. Because video or film, in technical terms, is photography at 30 frames per second, meaning you're shooting at 30 frame rates type of action, which if you play that action, you realize it moves from being a still image to a motion image. That's why photography is really important, because it lays the baseline or the base of what we talk about in terms of videography or video production and film and so forth. On the other hand, when we talk about multimedia, in this case, with multimedia, we're talking about aspects of digital technology or multimedia technology in terms of texts, right? Images, sound, visuals, and so forth. Because it is in this space of digital technology that now guys came in and innovated and integrated, and were able to have aspects of graphic design. We're able to bring in animation. We're able to bring in the aspects of social media, tapping into photography, videography, and all these multimedia aspects. So when you talk about multimedia, we're talking about text, we're talking about images, we're talking about sound or audio, we're talking about video or visuals, and we're talking about all digital technologies that have been brought up with the help of the computer and so forth. So anyone who has interest in the media industry must be able to understand that photography and multimedia is one of the areas that you can start with, especially if you don't have an idea of what you really want to do in the media industry. I always advise people the best point to start by studying photography and multimedia, because in that space you'll be able to have a map out of whether you want to proceed or not, or you'll be able to have a vision of what is ahead of you in terms of tackling all these other media aspects. So that said, I'll be able to share with you something here on my screen so that you can be able to see what we're talking about in this case. So as I had mentioned, when you're talking about multimedia, it involves text, images, audio, video, and digital tech elements. Now, what do we mean by text in this case? Of course, text involves writing, but in this case, you're writing digitally. So you're not just writing in the book, you're writing digital, like how we do text messages. For example, how we type when we are creating graphics, when we are creating online books, or when we are creating blogs and so forth. We use text, right? And in text, of course, you have the letters and so forth, statements and all that. So text is very important. As you can see, even in our presentation, or on the presentation that I have via Zoom, we can be able to look at texts that is generated on our applications. That is part and parcel of the digital technology and the computer technology aspects that are coming in, assisting multimedia. Images, that includes photography and all aspects of image creation or pictures. And then audio, that's where we talk about sound. For example, right now, you guys can be able to hear me because there's an element of the integration of all these computer technology aspects to be able to tap into the sound elements that you can be able to get right now. The video, so you can be able to see the visuals on our screen as well, and all the digital technology elements. So when all these things coming together, that is what forms the multimedia. So as a person who is exploring photography and multimedia, and as a person who has maybe a very maybe shallow perspective in terms of what you want to achieve in the media industry, it is advisable for you just to start with photography and multimedia. Right. I'm going to move on to the next phase. And in this next phase, we are going to explore the topic, exploring careers and growth in photography and multimedia. And I'm going to start with the growth area because that is the most important element. Then we shall move on to the careers. Now, the growth area is actually dependent on a cycle of activities. And it is important for you guys to understand, and for all of us to understand, that the media industry as it is not a one-man's army, right? It's not a one-man's shop. It's not a monopoly in this case. It has a lot of things that are coming in, and it is these things that help this industry grow. And I'm going to show you, and I'm going to mention examples here and there so that you understand when you talk about growth in the photography and multimedia area and in the media industry in general, what do we mean? So for media to be where it is, there are several cycle factors, or what we call in another language, the ecosystem of the media industry. It is this ecosystem that helps in the generation of employment. It is this ecosystem that helps in the generation of careers. It is this ecosystem that helps in the aspect of you being able to work your media careers anywhere in the world. It is this ecosystem that helps us to be able to say that media is $1 billion and $1 trillion industry. So what are these cycles, or what are these factors that help in the growth of photography and multimedia media? So the first factor is global programs on media innovation. Global programs on media innovation. What do we mean by that? If you look at what you have right now, the computers that we are using, the applications we are using, the lights we are using, and all these things were not invented in Kenya. They were invented somewhere else, and they were invented through a period of time. In what we call the global program, every now and then, developed countries and global leaders, in this case, sit down and decide where they would like the business world and the world in general to go, either politically, economically, socially, and so forth. And some of those things that are brought forth correlate with the innovations that are going on in the world. For example, there was the first time when TV came in. There was the first time that radio came in. There was the first time when newspapers came in. There was the first time when photography was commercialized. All these aspects have hand in terms of global programs on media innovation. So in this case, for example, if you're not in tune with what is happening globally, you may not be able to enhance your career as much as you may want to. You may not also have the opportunity to have an idea of what is being offered around the world. Because, for example, what ADMI is offering here in terms of photography and multimedia is being offered all around the world. Photography is something that is done everywhere in the world, but it's done differently in different designs, depending with what media innovation that country has embraced. And media innovations are many in terms of sound, right? creation of mics. We have people who build cameras or design cameras. We have people who design lights. We have people who design sound elements. We have people who design computers, laptops, flash disk, and all these elements that are very important for our photography and multimedia aspects. All these things are centered around what I'm calling the Global Program on Media Innovation. So if you want to grow in this industry, make sure every now and then you're looking at what is happening globally. What is the vision of the globe? For example, there was a time, I know you guys remember a couple of years ago, when the world was supposed to move or to shift from analog to digital. And the timeline was by the end of 2015, at least, the entire world should have shifted from analog to digital. And you remember in Kenya, there was a push and pull between the mainstream medias and other elements of international media, the Chinese coming in with all these digital mechanisms and so forth. But the global program was we have to shift to digital. And you can understand that with the shift to digital media, more employment opportunities in the media industry came in. Areas in the media industry that were a bit cold started firing up. It was also easier for people to start their own TV stations, even at that time, because the mainstream now did not have the monopoly. Why? The global program of digital migration, which is part of media innovation, it's a very important thing. And I'll be able to share with you that in our sessions, in classes there, if you attend, you can be able to see that. The other aspect is government policy on media and its infrastructure. That's the other area that you need to look at that affects the growth of photography and multimedia by and large. Why? Because it is the government that comes in to adopt policies, to adopt ideas that are offered by the globalists or are offered by global organizations in particular areas. Now, to give you an example, before the Kibaki government came in, the freedom of the press was non-existent in Kenya. It was something that actually put His Excellency the President that time, Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, on a lot of sanctions. And he had to make sure that at one point, media does not scale to the global recognition that would destroy his government and so forth. But the wave had already started. And during Kibaki's time, when the constitution was being taken care of and all that, the aspect of freedom of the press, the aspect of freedom of media, freedom of communication, freedom of speech, and so forth came in. So this is one of the aspects that you guys need to realize, and all of us need to realize that without this area, some of the elements of career growth in any industry, and in this case, when you talk about media, can be very tiring. For example, there are a lot of countries in West Africa and even around East Africa, maybe Uganda and parts of Rwanda and Burundi, that do not have that explosive media freedom like we have in Kenya. Why? The government of the day and the constitution of the day does not allow that. That already is locked. So imagine if you're having your social media activities and you have all these aspects of, telling the president that he's not doing this or abusing him or talking ill of the government and so forth. You cannot be able to do that in that country. And you will not be able to earn an income as a freelance photographer or a freelance video journalist in that country. Why? The government already has curtailed your growth. All right. So one of the areas that we need to look at is government policy on media and its infrastructure. So what are we talking about here? We look at the constitution. What has been written down about media? Where can you collect news? How can you do your photography? How will you send it? What is the money angle around it? Another area is the area of taxation. For example, right now, since the Kibaki government came in and opened us to China, cameras have been coming into Kenya. That's why right now it's so easy for Kenyans to get cameras, unlike many years ago. That is part of government policy in terms of trade and in terms of development with partners. Because if you look at it, you can be able to get a second-hand camera around 30,000 Kenya shillings. Apart from that, the taxation policy in Kenya, in relation to cameras, it's a little bit fair, unlike many years ago. So all these aspects of government policies are very important in terms of helping you explore your growth and enhance your growth in terms of a journalist, in terms of a video producer, in terms of a graphic designer, animator, and so forth. So if the government locks those particular areas, if the government maybe increases taxes on those particular fronts, it will be very difficult for you to grow in Kenya. And you may choose to maybe go to the United States or go to another country that has better policies, has better taxation measures, and so forth. That's why government policy on media and its infrastructure is important. The other thing is media education, where the colleges come in. So you guys have an opportunity to study media, and you have an opportunity to interact with consultants or lecturers who are in that space. Apart from that, it is through the media education system that you have what we call the crossover trust. By crossover trust, I mean you have a diploma, you have a certificate, you have a degree in this case, that helps you to be trustable within the private sector when they are saying, we want media people, we want a person who has worked in communication. They trust a paper in this case. Apart from your skill set, there are other points of access. One point of access, sometimes it's your paper or documentation that you went to school and you studied A, B, and C. That's why media education is very important in that area. Then we have the media markets or media businesses and media shops. These are all factors or all media outlets that sell and assist in the engagement of media business. These are camera shops, TV stations, radio stations. These are, the export and imports industry in the media area. These are people who make paper. These are people who build roads and all that. These are people who create ICT material, websites, and so forth. So we have a very huge media aspect or media market where we have media businesses and media shops. That is what we mean. That's another area. Because, for example, if you want to buy a camera, you have to go to a camera shop. If you want to get your website running to connect to the world, you have to go to a person who builds website. If you have to buy lights, if you have to start a station, you have to apply for licenses and so forth. That's what we mean by media market, businesses, and shops. Then we have the private sector in the media industry. The private sector comes in terms of running the money for the media. Now, remember, photography and multimedia is encompassing all aspects of media within them. And money is part of the fuel that runs this. But what makes this money, run out or run in and out? It's the private sector when they come in with advertising and so forth. So the private sector is what has made social media influencers, for example, rich. A lot of the social media influencers you see are not just earning from views and clicks on YouTube. They are earning through influencing for products, that is services, goods and services in the private sector, be it Safaricom, be it food industry, be it car industry. All these elements or these other businesses are what I'm calling the private sector. They're very important for the growth of your career as a producer. Remember, you'll be doing advertisements. You'll be shooting productions for these adverts. That's money coming in. You'll be posting this on your social media platforms, on newspapers, on magazines. You'll be promoting, you'll be advertising. So the commercialization aspect of the media industry grows in leaps and bounds because of the private sector coming in and wanting to be seen via media outlets. So they have to pay a little fee here and there, and money comes in, and that's how you're able to be paid. That's how guys get their salaries. That's how guys get their remuneration, stipends, and so forth. Then finally, we have media consumers. Media consumers are you and me who watch films, who watch TikTok videos, YouTube videos, and so forth. Now, you have to understand this, that if it is not for you as a consumer, the private sector will not advertise. So the private sector looks at what are these people who are consuming media use, which kind of soap, which kind of thing do they want, which kind of phone, which kind of lifestyle, and so forth. And they use the media to target you, and they actually showcase what they are selling on those media platforms. And by you, media consumers, it is the most important among the cycle, among all those 5 factors that you've mentioned that operate the ecosystem of the growth of media industry or the exploration around photography and multimedia. The media consumer, the people who want photographs, the people who want films, the people who want websites, the people who want videos and so forth. These are the people who actually enable all the other factors actually have the passion to move on and move forward, because media consumers are the people who especially help in the growth by and large. That said, I'll move on to the last area of our explore and growth factor, and I'll look at courses as options. Then we move on to careers. So I'm giving you 6 course options that you can be able to get into as a person in this career, and you'll be able to understand that these course options are global, meaning with these options, you can be able to work anywhere in the world. So one of them is photography and videography production, right? Journalism, film and TV productions, graphics and animation, multimedia content creation, media business and marketing relations. So if you're a person who is in the photography and multimedia space and you're starting your journey in understanding where you need to go in terms of media, you can scale your photography and multimedia experience or career, or rather education, by adding several courses in there. So one of the courses that you can add if you discover you're good at it, it's maybe graphics and animation. Another one can be film and TV production. Another one can be journalism. Another one can be, video production, which you mash up with photography experience. The other one is multimedia content creation, whereby you are a person who creates websites, you're a person in social media creating content, you're a person who is blogging and so forth. That's what we mean by multimedia creation. And then media businesses, in this case, marketing, social media marketing, and so forth. The good thing is ADMI offers a lot of these courses, and when you come in on Saturday, you'll be able to get in touch with people who are specialized in these areas. And it's one of the things that you can do to your photography and multimedia studies. You can push into these other areas and expand your view in a global context. So write those down and always view them. If you discover your talent, for example, your talent can be fused in with all those 6. If you're a person who likes interacting with people a lot and you're a person who likes clout, by clout, I mean you like appearing on video, you like appearing on TV, you like speaking in front of people, you like interacting, you're extroverted in this case. It's very important for you to do multimedia related courses for content creation. It's very important for you to dive maybe into film and TV production if you really like creating stories, if you really like reporting and investigative journalism, or giving people information. You can dive into journalism. And if you like sharing information through pictures, through videos, you can do photography and videography courses. So with that, you have an idea of where you really need to go after your certificate, diploma, and so forth. Now, I move on to the last area, whereby I talk about the 6 lucrative media careers in the world, right? Six lucrative. Now, there are a lot of media careers that you can dive into as a person who is in this industry, but not all media careers are lucrative. Some of the media careers are very, they are financially constrained, or they are not up to the level that you may want. And it's simply because of the government policies in that country, be it taxation, how they do business, and so forth. You have to understand that if the government, for example, decides that you cannot earn on a particular area, they will just create a policy around it. And if the parliamentarians decide to match up with that, it becomes really difficult for a lot of people. For example, in Kenya, you've heard about aspects of music, play, and production in Kenya being a little bit difficult for musicians to generate income. And the reason why this is simply because of government policy, as we talked about earlier. So it's limiting the growth, and the exploration aspects around it is actually curtailed because of this government that creates bad policies for us. But now in Kenya right now, with the industry that we have and with the opportunities that we have, these six careers are very important and can actually help you earn a lot of money by and by. As a person who has started even just with photography and multimedia elements working in, you can be able to build yourself in 3, 6, 9 years into these careers and become an expert and be able to earn money, feed your family, and grow your lifestyle in life. So these careers are, for example, I've started with the most lucrative one there, which is media owner. Now, many years ago, it was difficult to own media outlets. By media outlets, I'm talking about, for example, Standard Media, NTV, KBC, K24, and so forth. You had to have over, hundreds of millions of shillings to start this. But nowadays, with social media, it's so easy. You just need to start your channel and you create your media station in there and you become a media owner. Within 3 years, and even some of you within 1 year, you can be able to start doing a lot of work and you can earn money. We have examples of people who right now have their own media. For example, Butita, who has SPM Buzz. We have Mungai Eve. We have Trevor. We have so many people who right now own their own medias online. We have Lynn Gugi. All these people will not be able to own media and generate income if it was, 5, 10 years ago. First of all, because of the government policy that was not effective in terms of enhancing social media and the infrastructure in terms of network access and so forth. Those are some of the aspects that have enabled people to have their own medias. Podcasting. Right now, mainstream media is falling, and mainstream media is actually suffering financially because media owners have shifted into the social landscape or social media landscape. That's one of the areas that you can come in and play. The other area is becoming a photo and video journalist. Photo and video journalist, everybody right now can do this. We call it citizen journalism. If you have your phone, for example, your mobile phone, you can start doing photojournalism. You can start doing video journalism. Right now, we have, for example, the guy who is going all around Kenya, showcasing those fallen projects by President Ruto. That is an example of a video journalist. All right. For example, when you talk about Nairobi gossip and Kenyans.co.ke, that's an example of a photojournalist. All right. They're using photography to report information. They are gathering that information, selecting which information they'll share, and they're sharing it with you via social media platform. All these companies now are media owners. Nairobi gossip, all right, and they're earning a lot of money from that. Kenyans.co.ke and so forth. There are examples of photo video journalist. That's something that you can learn here at ADMI. And with the starting course of photography and multimedia, you can be able to learn how to do your photo edits. You can be able to learn how to do your photo designs, video editing, video designing, and so forth, and sharing them on the space that is available, and you can start your journey to earn. Within an year or so, you'll be self-employed and you'll be able to enjoy the growth in terms of exploring photography and multimedia. The other career is camera tech engineers. Camera tech engineers is something that has gained traction in Kenya right now because we have so many people who have cameras, and these cameras times break down. These cameras have issues of maintenance and repair. And who will do that work? It's a person who knows how to clean a lens. It's a person who knows how to correct a lens. It's a person who knows how to fix a camera. It's a person who knows how to fix lights. It's a person who knows how to fix mobile phones and so forth. So these are the people whom I'm calling camera tech engineers. Camera tech engineers are not just helping you to fix your equipment, they are also connecting you with how that equipment functionality as well as specs and features are developed. They have connects with companies such as Canon, companies such as Nikon, and so many other companies that create or build cameras. So this is one of the areas that as a photographer, as a person dealing with multimedia, you can be able to enhance your career in this and step up in terms of advising people which camera should I buy, advising people which specs are important and so forth. So you can be able to build a niche around it and start getting your money in there. The other career is photography and video producers. Okay. So in this case, you'll be shooting and creating content, not only in terms of movies, but you're creating content in terms of commercials for private sectors. You're shooting and creating weddings. You're shooting and creating small short films. You're shooting and creating a lot of information that you can also share as a social media influencer. Now, just look at the landscape of how many social media influencers we have. All these people, if you mention, for example, Flaco, Crazy Kenanju, Gush, and all these guys, they all have their own photographers. They all have their own videographers who do their video edits and who do their photography or their branding. And one of the things is sometimes when you grow, this thing becomes too big for you to handle alone. So if you want to be able to delegate, then this is an opportunity. And that's why right now, people who are doing photography and people who are doing videography have a lot of work because the social media influencers and the social media space has become a fertile ground for all these people. So you have a lot of people who want a person who can easily edit a video of this particular magnitude. Now, even if you can do a video edit by yourself on your phone using CapCut and so forth, there is a level that you reach that you don't have time to do that. So you'll have to employ a person. For example, if you're doing a large production, you cannot shoot it and act at the same time. You have to either choose one action over the other. And with this, you bring in people who are doing production. So photography and video production will never end. In this industry, globally, we have so many things that are being produced, either in terms of photography and in terms of videography. They all match up together and they all marry into each other. Very important career. The other career that you can explore, and it's very important for your progress and expansion in the media industry, is media coaching and consultancy, like what I do. So in media coaching and consultancy, that's another area. You can be able to advise people and train people on all these elements that I'm talking about. And with this area, you have the leverage of interacting with all these platforms and sharing them with so many people so that people can pay you to advise them, people can pay you to train them. So this is also an area that you can explore in terms of your career as a photographer, as a person in multimedia, and so forth. It's also a lucrative career and never ends. People are always looking for such guys. And finally, if you're a person who is talented in terms of interaction with people, extroverts, and so forth, you like communicating, you like hosting, and so forth, Media show hosts and presenters. That is another area. For example, being an MC, all right? An MC is a person who hosts or assists in the hosting and the delivery of a program, delivery of a show, delivery of events, and so forth. This is an area that involves a lot of media work. I know a lot of people don't know this, but being a host of an event and being a host of a TV program or reading news or presenting information, they're all one and the same package. It is all about communication. It is all about mass communication. But in this case, you're using yourself and your talent and your good looks, your good voice, and your lifestyle and whatever you have to actually paint a picture of how that event is going to be run and how it will be. So these are some of the things that you can explore. And these are some of the things that assist in the enhancement of your career as a person in the media industry. So finally, before I allow for any questions, I'll just say that if you're interested in learning all these aspects, you have an opportunity to join ADMI, you have an opportunity to contact me, you have an opportunity to view a lot of this when you come into our space, and understand that even if you don't have an idea of where you need to go, start with photography and multimedia. You can build on that. So from photography and multimedia, now you can graduate. As you graduate, you'll be able to see all these aspects that you'd like to be tailored into. And by, your success in the media industry will come in as a byproduct of your patience in studying all these aspects one by one. So right now, I'll leave this space for questions, then we will end our session. So it's a question time. So anyone with a question can just type it on the chat box. I'll be able to respond to it. If not, we will call it an end and we'll have done something.
As we wait for at least one or two people as they are trying to type their questions, let me drop mine here. There goes. Ian also has a question.
Okay.
Could you cover Ian's question first, then you go to mine?
Okay. So Ian Gadura is asking, could you cover a bit on wedding industry? Right. So remember, just as I had mentioned earlier, the wedding industry is part and parcel of the entire photography and multimedia aspects or the media market. And the wedding industry involves especially some of the careers that I've mentioned. For example, in the wedding industry, you cannot just be, you can choose either to be a photographer and a videographer. What you're doing is photography and video production. Now, in a wedding, and especially in Kenya, and I used to do weddings many years ago when I was starting out. If you're a photographer, you have to tailor your photography techniques with videography. You have to come in as a whole unit or as a whole package. So you cannot just take in a wedding as a photographer. You have to take in the entire package, photography and videography. So what you do is you come in as a photographer, then you look for a friend who does videography. If you're a videographer, you look for a friend who does good or excellent photography. Then you form in a collaboration for that particular event. The other thing, you can also come in as a whole unit, meaning you become a sort of media owner in the area of wedding industries. And this is what I mean. So you create an opportunity for giving an entire package that is needed in the wedding. What do we have in a wedding? For example, in a wedding, we have people who do your branding, graphics designs for cards, either online or, or tangible, right? Hard copy. So you can have people who are doing your graphics on that. Remember, in the wedding also, you have people who are hosting the wedding. These are MCs and, hosts and people who are directing the wedding. You can also be able to provide that service, all right, as a whole package. And then, of course, you're bringing in people who are doing your photography and video production. So if you package yourself as a big company that offers those 4 or 5 areas, then you'll rake in more money, because the wedding is actually built on that cycle. You must have an MC, you must have people who have done graphics, all right? Because you'll need to do a lot of some photographs need a little bit of graphics. You need to create some posters. Some weddings also look for banners as one of the entry points when you're entering the wedding venue and so forth. So you can come in and do all that. Some weddings also require people who can be able to produce digital cards. So you need a person who can do graphics and a person who can be able to assist you in that. So the wedding industry is very fertile and it's very big in Kenya, and especially from the month of April, right, in the first term, and then August to December. August to December, there are normally a lot of weddings, August to December. So that is one area that you can actually pack. And apart from that, you can be able to use your photography and multimedia techniques to market yourself in a wedding. So what happens is, for example, when you're doing a wedding, instead of just coming in as a videographer, photographer, MC, and so forth, you have a tent that you've come with or a place that you're sitting, and you have your friend who is there with a laptop and marketing elements. So you have your own branded t-shirts, you're sitting in there. So as other guys are doing their photography and videography, there's one of you guys who is actually marketing your organization, right, in the wedding venue. So elements of branding, graphics, and so forth are coming in place. So that's what I can share with you, Ian. And if you want more, you can come here at ADMI and I'll be able to dive into even more with examples, actually show you practicals of what I'm saying. But generally, that is the case. Right. This other question, what advice would you give to someone looking to break into the industry, particularly in a highly competitive market like ours? That's a very good question. Now, the media industry is flooded, and guys have to understand that the media industry is flooded. What do you mean by flooded? Okay, I would like you to see the tsunami that happened in Japan, right? That is the kind of industry that we have, right? Everyone is doing media right now. If you guys don't know, right now, even your mom can be able to do a social media post and start trending or go viral. And by them going viral, they can tap into that particular space and become an influencer. But generally, the aspect of it being flooded, it's not just it's not a disadvantage, to say the least. It also has its own benefits. And what you can do to succeed in this industry is to be unique. That is one of the things that you need to know, just being unique. So in uniqueness, first of all, you look at what are your unique elements? First of all, is it your voice? Do you have a unique voice? All right. Is it your looks or beauty or how you look? Very important in media. It's one of the unique elements that can actually scale your career to the top. Is it your vibe, your personality? Because you have to understand, for example, for you to become a superb host, your personality comes in handy, and it's the most important layer in this area. Is it your expertise in terms of creativity? Now, in creativity, you'll succeed a lot, especially as a film producer, as an actor, as a person who is doing productions, because your productions will be seen to be unique in comparison to other people, because this is the disadvantage, more or less. When you study media, right, the media industry has very, set procedures that do not expand beyond the setup that is, unless you're creative. What do I mean? For example, if it's in photography, you will all learn about camera settings. And camera settings are shutter speed, aperture, ISO, and so forth. Now, everyone will know these aperture settings are done like this, ISO settings, shutter speed, and so forth. So there's nothing to add apart from your creativity. So your creativity now comes in play in terms of how you play with your shutter speeds and aperture settings. That's an example. The other thing is, if you're really unique in terms of your personality sells your products. You have to understand that. Even as a photographer, if you are a photographer who is bubbly, if you're a photographer who has a particular dressing style and so forth, you stand out more and people capture that more, because you have to understand, in every business, people don't buy products, they buy feelings, how you make them feel. All right. People don't buy the media education from an institution. They buy the feeling of what they get when they're in that media education. People don't buy, cameras just for the sake. There is a feeling around it. People don't just buy phones for the sake. There is a feeling in terms of having such a type of phone and so forth. So to be able to stand out, just be unique and be creative. The rest will fall in place. And just to mention, it takes around 3 years for you to succeed in the media industry through networking. That's one of the areas that I had forgotten. And it's important, just remembered with this question. So apart from your creativity, apart from your uniqueness, networking is very important. Networking in simple is getting to talk with people, telling them what you do, showcasing your work. So don't fear to be on social media. Chase clout as much as you can. There's positive, there's negatives around it, but choose the kind of cloud that is good for your business so that you generate a lot of network. Attend as many events as possible where media personalities and media work is being done, and use that opportunity to network. And by and by, you'll be able to build and to stand out in this industry, because it's a journey. Even if we want to, microwave anything, there's always process. So that's all. I think I don't have any other question. So Rachel, that's it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Isaac. It was such an insightful session. We've learned a lot. Thank you so much for those who participated and asked their questions. Asanteni sana. So we've come to the end of our webinar for today. And I'd like to say that on Saturday we have an open day. So you're all welcome to come and attend the open day and meet our industry experts. Isaac will also be there. So you're most welcome. It will be from 10 a.m. up to 4 p.m. Again, if you have friends who are interested in our diploma courses, film production, animation, graphic design, sound engineering, we have a partial scholarship that we are giving out to individuals who are interested in enrolling. So please spread the word out to your friends, your relatives, and let them know that ADMI is the right place for them if they are aspiring creatives. So without further ado, I'm going to end this session. Asanteni sana, and see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good evening, guys.